In this example, I'm going to show you solving a quadratic equation by taking the square root. This is a good method to use when you have an x squared term and then a plain term with no x, and if your b term is 0. So the very first thing I'm going to do is isolate the x squared term. So first I'm going to subtract 15 from both sides. And I get 4x squared equals negative 15. Divide by 4 on both sides, and we get x squared equals negative 15 over 4. And then here's where the name of the method comes in. I'm going to take the square root of both sides. When I take the square root of anything that has an x in it or an x squared in it, it's going to generate a plus and minus on the other side. So when I take the square root of x squared, I get a plain x. And on the other side, I get plus or minus the square root of negative 15 over the square root of 4. And I'm breaking this into 2 right here so that I can simplify this a little bit easier. I do know that the square root of 4 is a plain old positive 2. So right now I have x equals plus or minus negative 15, square root of negative 15 over positive 2. And then I need to recognize that if I have a negative underneath the square root, that's really, the square root of negative 1 is the imaginary number I. So I'm going to have x equals plus or minus I times the square root of 15 divided by 2. So remember, if you have a negative underneath the square root symbol, that means you have an imaginary I, and when you pull out the I, the underneath part of the radical becomes positive. So our final two solutions here are x equals plus or minus I times the square root of 15 divided by 2.